Plates and section items are automatically calculated in its data, whereas vendor items are not. Vendor items data such as the description, the length, and the grade are manually added. So if you don't add that data, it will come up as an error. Also too, if you've got a plate that you've inserted that may not have the correct data in it, such as the model type being called plates, it will come up as an error. And what happens is when we consolidate, the information behind each component is generated and added to a bill of materials which is stored in the database behind. So this is a new additional feature that we've added during the consolidation process so that you don't need to do this on a regular basis. So consolidation collects this information to populate our interface that we've got. For instance, if you look at the plate, you can see the description and the length and the grade have automatically been populated. The grade, I'll get to that, that's coming up later, but for the basics of the data that's in behind the plate, the section, the data is automated. Let's go down into that data so that we can cover it in more detail. So if we zoom down in on the plate and open the plate up, and we go to the custom properties, you can see that we use a model type to describe what that model is. So for a plate and a section and a vendor item, they will have plates, sections, and vendors respectively for each. The rest of the information that is populated is done through consolidation. And through the consolidation process, it collects the data from each item differently. So for a plate, it collects the bounding box shape of the plate. All of our plates are drawn from the top plane. They can be extruded in any direction. They can even be offset. However, plate data is collected via the bounding box. So if you look at, say, the description of the plate, you can see that we've got the width times the thickness and then the length. Now what happens is it grabs the bounding box data and it sorts that information in order from smallest to largest, and then it knows that the smallest digit is the thickness, the next item in the sort order will be the width, and then the last one being the longest length will be the length. And that's how it formulates that data. The rest of the data that you see here that's added to the density is automatically generated based on the material properties of that component. The mark obviously is a consolidation, additional consolidation custom property that gets added. Now if I close it off and go back to the model and have a look at a section, you'll see that in the section it has a weldment feature added to it. So because it's a section, it picks up that there is a welded feature added. If you go to the custom properties, you'll notice that with our custom properties, the model type is sections. And the data it's completely different in the way that it's calculated because we use one body per part in our sections. Now in our sections, if you go and have a look at our section, you can see when you go to the properties, there's only one body in our sections, and the information associated to that is pulled from the cut list and put into the custom properties of the component automatically. So if we were to look at from, say, standard through to description, this information comes from the actual welded member, or weldment profile I should say. It comes from the weldment profile, and that weldment profile data gets populated automatically into the custom properties. And the remainder obviously is similar to plate. It just grabs the properties of the component and puts that in. And the mark obviously is the consolidation data that's been added. Now if I was to delete all this data except the model type custom property and ran a consolidation, Steel Designer Pro will pick this up, that this item is missing all this data, and it will add that data back in for you. And it will match what's in the database behind. So plates and sections automatically have their data added, whereas vendor items don't. So now let's take a look at vendor items in regards to their data. We'll go down and zoom in on a bit of grating. And if you click on a surface on the grating, you'll see a little flyout toolbar. And under there, we've got selecting consolidation. And you can see here, we've got the grating. If I actually open it up, rather than opening the drawing, I'll just open it up and have a look at it. So this is not a broken up piece of grating. This is just a grating that's been added for a concept. And if we have a look at the data behind it, the description and the length has been added manually. The model type, of course, is the vendors, and that's been added manually. The remainder of the information is automatically added via Steel Designer Pro, and of course the mark added via Consolidation. You can, however, override the description and the length in the custom specific configuration settings, and anything that's obviously in your custom properties will be overridden by configuration specific custom property as well. So you can do that as well. So that's how vendor data is added. Now you must add this data manually.